pretty much every year for the last 10 years or so, we've been seeing a lot of parvo cases over summer. And so I wanted to really talk about this now because this is the bottle of Green Dream, and this is what's going to happen to your dog basically if you don't vaccinate. But what I really wanted to do is talk about the relative risks of vaccination versus not vaccinating. And I think it's quite important that everyone understands the risks and the benefits of vaccination so you can actually make an informed decision. So what I wanted to do is find a way to really represent the benefits and the risks that come with vaccination. So let me show you how I can represent this by basically showing a number of... So this represents the number of dogs that I've seen that I actually believe have died as a result of vaccination. So vaccination's very, very safe. This is 20 years of working in a lot of different clinics and probably averaging about 4 or 5 vets per clinic. So that's probably about 100 years of vet doing vaccinations to come up with one case that I actually believe died as a result of the vaccination. So it's a very, very low risk. It is there, but let's get a bit of proportion with it and I'll show you how the things look. This is the number of dogs in 20 years that I've seen actually die even though they've been from parvo, even though they've been fully vaccinated. So even though the vaccine is very, very effective, we still do get the very occasional dog which doesn't fully respond to vaccination. So once again, we've got to balance these things out. So let's look at what happens if we don't actually vaccinate our dogs. Because we call it the Green Dream, let's represent the number of parvo cases with green needles. Now, this doesn't look like much when we take into account one dog dying from the vaccine, one dying despite being vaccinated. But to bring it into perspective, this is my worst day of parvo. So my worst day of parvo, I euthanize 3 dogs in a day. To get a bit of an idea of the number of cases we've seen, this is actually the number of dogs I've euthanized in the last, or mostly in the last 10 years actually, when we've had the worst outbreak. So that number of needles, that represents about 200 dogs that have died needlessly. So you can see vaccine, very, very small risk with it, and we need to be responsible with it. That's why we use 3 yearly vaccines here for adult dogs, because although that's a very small risk, it's there, but this is the relative risk. This is what's more likely to happen to your dog if you don't vaccinate. So we're going into summer, now's your time to do it, because if you don't vaccinate your dog now, it's too late once it's got the disease.